Hello and welcome back to another episode of Inside Voices First Takes. We are back. Sorry for the long hiatus. Our intrepid producer / editor was out of the country, but he's back, we're back, and we are ready to discuss movies. I, of course, am Adam Rubin.
And I am Colin Binnick.
Joining me as always. And today we are talking about Pacific Rim 2, Uprising. The second one, Kaiju Again, Forever.
Buy everything you've got!
Colin.
Return of Jafar.
Return of Jafar, of course. Really, the tagline of this should have been, in a world without G-forces. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a physics fiasco. But you knew that. You knew that going in. It doesn't make any sense. Yeah. What'd you think, Colin? Big robots, big monsters. What do we think?
Okay, so before I discuss my opinion on Uprising, I need to explain what I thought of the first movie before I get to the second. Just briefly.
All right, let's go back to Pacific Rim, the first.
I found a quote on my phone. I want to make sure I cite this right. By a Mike Ryan from Uprocks, I think it's a website or whatever. He perfectly described what Pacific Rim 1 was, okay? This is my opinion. I share with him. But he said, quote, the first Pacific Rim was a dumb movie that thought it was something more than that. Yeah, that's exactly right. The first movie was Guillermo del Toro, so it looked great, had a great style, had good world building, it had Idris Elba, always a great thing.
Always a plus.
But the movie it thought it was smarter than what it actually was. It wasn't anything more than robots versus monsters, and that's all.
Robots versus monsters, yeah.
But it kind of tried to be a little more artsier than the majority of those movies, or it tried to be other things, tried to be higher standard. It wasn't. It did not make any higher standard. But we thought it was smarter than that. So it didn't work for me as much as most people it did. I gave it a 6 out of 10. Some people loved it. Like some people really like it. I just thought it was average. It was still pretty. It was still fine. But the cringiness for me was a lot of the acting and the dialogue in the first movie. Like it made that first Pacific Rim made Transformers look like Citizen Kane. I'll say it.
No. I was willing to nod and go along with the rest of that. No, it didn't, Colin.
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
It did.
Transformers does not look like Citizen Kane, unless by that you mean a director who's trying too hard. In which case, I agree.
that to my grave. There was the acting scene and the dialogue when Sons of Anarchy and the Japanese adopted sister are fighting for the first time. One of the worst scripted and acted scenes I have ever witnessed in a blockbuster, ever. So that's
But that does not make Transformers Citizen Kane. Just take that second part.
It elevated Transformers up to the level of, oh my God, that's better.
For God's sakes, no, it didn't.
Now to Uprising. Now we got out of the way. Uprising.
Yes.
So compared to the first movie, it's a lot more generic. Because it does not have Guillermo. The style of the movie is not memorable. It's much more forgettable in the second movie. And also one of the golden rules it didn't have Idris Elba. Okay, I don't know how you don't get him back in a cameo somehow, because Idris Elba made the first movie great. Okay, and in the main theme, like the great main theme from the first movie, the score, barely in this movie. Barely used at all, and that's just a travesty.
Okay.
So it's just it doesn't quite reach the first movie, but at least in this movie, I think it's more aware that it's not trying to be high art. It is aware it's a dumb concept, so I guess it's a little more okay in terms of knowing what it is rather than trying to be something it's not. That was my first.
It's fighting at its weight class. I think it's fair to say, right? It's
I like.
Yeah.
I like.
And
that.
I agree with that assessment. Yeah,
you do?
I agree with that assessment. I do. Not so much the first one, but I do agree that this movie seemed more comfortable and knowing what it was and what it wasn't. I definitely do agree with that. They knew the strengths to build on. They know we gotta have We got to have a bigger monster. We got to have more robots. We got to have references to Idris Elba. Even if we can't have him, we got to play on that. We got to have just more everything. Bring back the core cast. I mean, it knew what it needed to do.
You know what surprised me in this movie? The actual lack of actual robot versus monster fighting. I mean, that's really, it's only saved for the third act. I mean, there are other battles.
Hold that thought, because we're dangerously close to spoiler territory.
Okay.
Before we get there, I want to keep doing the general stuff about the movie. So did you think, I mean, we agree that this movie had a better sense of what it was and what it wasn't. Do you think that improved this movie? Was this a better movie for you than the first one?
Oh, no, it's not. It's still, it's still behind, because it's not like Guillermo. Listen, say what you want, Guillermo. Guillermo makes movies look better, and this movie's look was so. It was just, nothing stood out. Nothing stood out visually. There were a couple of cool story visual moments that could have, if they expanded it more, could have worked. But in terms of the look, no, nothing else we haven't seen before. So that was too bad. Okay,
so why? So what is your overall assessment of this movie then?
It's not quite as good as the first movie, but it's not trying to be something it's not. So
first movie was 6. What do you give this?
No, I give this a 5. I give it a 5.
A 5.
So, I can't say it's fresh if we're doing Rotten Tomatoes. I can't say go see it, but I'm not saying
Rotten Tomatoes.
Right, but I'm not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying it's there. Okay, it's there. It was
You're indifferent to the movie.
The closest comparison I can make is Independence Day 2, where it's an unnecessary movie, but it's not like a complete train wreck. That's what I'll say. Like, it's there, it's fine, but it doesn't do anything to add anything. So that's me.
All right. Without getting into my opinions about Independence Day 2, fair enough. And I will pretty much agree with that in terms of the see it, don't see it. I mean, if you're someone who already wanted to see this movie, you should still go see it. I mean, I think it delivers on exactly what you expect. Now, I'll say for my part, I went in with very low expectations. Very low. We're gonna have Pacific Rim, and it's gonna be again, and somehow there will be monsters again, even though we totally took care of that in the first movie. There'll be monsters again somehow, and the robots will have to be, recommissioned or oiled back up or whatever, and we're gonna do it again. And I was pleasantly surprised. The movie exceeded my expectations. There was a little bit more going on in this movie than I was expecting, because I was expecting 0. And there was a couple things. Particularly, I thought there were a couple cute moments, and that's way more than I was expecting. I actually liked the new leads, which I was not expecting to. They were better than I thought they'd be, especially the young lady. I thought did a very nice job. She was charming. The stormtrooper, I could take or leave. Idris's son, he's fine. He's fine. He did a fine job. Nothing against the guy, and nothing against his performance in this. His character's whatever. He's no Jax Teller. But the young lady was you really were rooting for her. She did a great job, which I wasn't expecting at all. So they put a lot more effort into the characters than I anticipated. That being said, definitely still a movie where you should turn your brain off before you go in the theater. Because if you don't, you're not going to be happy about it. Because it still doesn't make any sense at all. Doesn't make any sense. But you had to know that going in. On the other hand, they do a couple cool things. You do have an even bigger monster. You do have robots fighting. So I thought it delivered on everything it needed to deliver on, but nothing more than that. I would give it a 6. So if you wanted to see that, if you want more Pacific Rim, you love Pacific Rim, you want it again, go see the movie. Otherwise, and see it as big a screen as possible. Why not? Go nuts. But otherwise, yeah, I would wait till it's free on Fox on a Sunday, something like that on FX.
I would agree with that, Adam. I don't think you need to go see it in the theater. If you have to pay for it, I say you wait till it's on TV on a random Saturday afternoon. But unless you're a diehard Pac Rim fan, and unless other than that, go crazy. But I say wait.
Or frankly, if you just want to go see a movie where you can turn your brain off. I have to say that I saw this movie with the optimal possible audience. Now, it was not a great sign that the audience consisted of about 10 of us on opening night, but that being said, the other 9 people in the theater loved this movie so much. They laughed at all the trailers. They just wanted to go and have fun and see something goofy that's a little bit fun. And I think this delivered that for them. So if you want something where you can turn your brain off and still know what's going on, certainly not get lost, and you want to see some robots punch some monsters, this will get it done for you. Absolutely, this will get it done. Now, that being said, time to go into what I will gently describe this week as spoilers. Hard to spoil this movie, but point is, if you don't want to know anything more about it, thank you very much for joining us. Go see the movie, or wait a few months for it to come out on TV, and either way, then come back and let's dish about the specifics, because oh my God, Colin, there was one huge, unforgivable problem with this movie that I cannot believe slipped through. Do you know what I'm talking about?
The way the Jaeger fell down to Earth after being blasted off.
Oh no! Although say more about that. What was your issue with that?
No, I thought that was your. I didn't have an issue. I thought that was your issue.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I do have a small issue about that, which is, while it's not completely made clear what the kaiju's plan is, the basic gist of the plan is the kaiju's going to bleed into the volcano, where the blood is going to mix with all of the rare earth elements and explode. Now, forgetting the fact that the rare earth elements would also be on the outside of the volcano and is now bleeding out. If you fire your thing, your missile self directly, just kamikaze into it in Japan, which also is a little bit, but I guess they ejected, so it's not technically kamikaze. That's fine. All right, all's forgiven. Anyway,
buddy.
If you're gonna kamikaze your Jaeger into this thing and cut it in half, didn't it pretty much bleed a ton into the volcano? That doesn't seem like a safe way to do that at all.
It didn't tip over. It bleeded along the edge of the wet mountain. It didn't get inside.
And I'm saying, isn't that a gamble? You were coming straight down on it, and we see that you split it in half. You gambled that it wasn't going to bleed into the thing at all? It was an
angle to get away from the volcano mouth. That's what I'm saying. A little bit.
Listen, my brain was off. I don't care about that. I don't care about it at all. No, there's only one thing that it made me care about and then totally didn't pay off on. And how about that's the fact that kid died and the other one's maimed, and it didn't get addressed at all.
Well, to be fair, the kid that died wasn't a memorable character. It was one of the...
He's one of the only characters in it. He's the pilot, and they say we're going to go back and help you.
There's 9 or 10 cadets, okay? Only 3 or 4 of them stood out. So everybody else was a red shirt, basically, from Star Trek.
But they planted the fact that he was going to die earlier in the movie. They have a whole conversation about what they're going to do for him when he dies. And then he does die, and we don't get to see them do anything about it.
Oh, wait, was that the same character?
That's the same guy, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I didn't connect those. I didn't know it was the same person. Okay.
The one whose dad is the boob doctor. He's the one who died.
Plastic surgeon, Adam. Come on, get the term.
Well, he corrects him, but then he thinks that maybe boobs are a good idea.
Yes.
And for the record,
I didn't remember it was the same person. That's how you know this movie did not. See, I have to refute you on the whole. Yeah. This did well with its characters. No, it didn't. I don't think any of the characters were well developed, with the exception of the young girl.
That's it. That's the only character.
Well, you said
her and Idris Elba's son. Those are the only real characters. That's fine.
I would just say the girl. All the other characters are they're not given enough time to develop as much as the first movie. The older characters like Newt and Herman, the doctors, they still pop. They still work because we have history before, and they still we get it in this movie. And we get a lot of them still. But all the ones, Scott Eastwood's character, all the other cadets, just. Nothing really memorable. So that's why I forgot it was the same person. I must have forgotten it because
Listen, they're all very thin. I'll give you that. But the point is, You specifically gave a piece of a scene to foreshadowing the fact that this kid was going to die, and people were like, "Oh, we're not going to make a big deal about it. Oh no, we're just kidding. We love you." And then he does die, and we don't see anything. Think about how that could have actually been a nice moment if you'd had a little thing. Guy salutes, the one who teased him salutes, his thing's now a hologram with his sister. That would have been nice. Yeah. Nothing. I'm not saying you have to go see them pick the other guy up out of the wreckage, but right. The movie ends with a snowball fight. Happy. Oh yeah, there's a dead kid right over there. That happened a minute ago. Okay. What? You know what? I literally thought it was coming after the credits. In my phone, I wrote, really should have, I would have liked to have seen them address the dead kid before the credits. No, it's not at all. I went, oh my God.
Woulda, coulda, shoulda. Okay, I'll give you that one. Yeah, I just didn't think that's the same person. But okay, you pick up a fair point if it is. All right, that's a good point.
I mean, if you're going to kill a kid in your movie, you have to do something about it.
I want to address a couple things that you earlier brought up in the non-spoiler part that I want to expand on in terms of things that I thought were actually quite good, but I thought they were going to get more of, or at least, just basically more of. But first, seeing two Jaegers fight each other. That was good. We had not gotten that in Pac Rim 1. I appreciate that. And the actual fight choreography between the two robots was very well done. So good on this for doing that. Seeing Jaeger kaiju hybrids, right? When the drones, like all of a sudden, like the kaiju-ness that was hidden in there starts and takes over. That was cool. But I wanted to see more of that. That was so cool. I like the combo. But then that's done. We don't get it ever again. Okay. So I'm like, no, keep going with that.
We got a lot of it, Colin. It went on for a while.
I thought we needed more because, again, we had seen the monster and robots fight before. So seeing that again didn't do it as much. In terms of, now, you said there was something really to spoil in terms of the story. I will disagree with that. There was one thing, and this is actually a good spoiler thing in terms of who was the saboteur. Who was the one responsible?
We're in the spoiler section. We can say that it was Newt. Newt is the saboteur.
And you know what? I did not see that coming. The movie sets it up like it's this new company responsible for the drones doing it, like with the woman CEO in charge, and that she's behind it and all of that. But it's Newt, and in fact, that's actually a great idea because the idea of him merging so many times, which is how they saved the world the first time, is actually the cause of the problem the second time. I like that. It takes something good and it twists it in a way like, oh, actually, no, long-term wise, this was a bad thing, and this is why. So I like that quite a bit.
I totally agree with you about that. That's what I'm saying. It gave me more than I was expecting, because I was expecting it to be a big plot hole.
That was the only thing it gave us.
The fact that when the kaiju robot attacks and almost kills the CEO, I was all ready to jump on that, being like, this is a big plot hole. Why would she do that if it was going to get... And I was like, oh, no, because it wasn't her. Pretty good movie.
Yeah. No, it still could have been her. She was like playing a very risky game by like having a drone even attack her just to throw her off the scent. That could have been plausible, but yes, I think it's much more plausible.
Unnecessarily risky, yeah.
And also, then the end credit scene where FN2187 from Star Wars, like, no, we're gonna take the fight to them. That should have been the plot for Pacific Rim 2. I don't want Pacific Rim 3 where we get this. No, Pacific Rim 2 should have been us going into their world, having the fight on their turf. That would have been so different. I would have loved it. But alas, that's just me, wish fulfillment. Anyway.
Listen, there's always Pacific Rim 3 that you now get to look forward to as maybe your favorite one.
I don't want more of these movies.
Too bad. I think you're going to get it. Well, unless the 10 people who were there tonight is representative of how this is going to do this weekend. Yeah. We're not helping things for sure.
All right. Well, I guess that's it.
Listen, it's gonna be big in China. We do know that. The Chinese get to be the heroes of the whole thing. Like, it's going to do great overseas. I think worldwide this movie will do just fine. So I think we will get a third one.
All right. You heard it here first. Pacific Rim 3 coming in your theaters 2021.
I mean, there you go. We call it. We call it like we sees it. And as always, thanks very much for joining us. I guess that's it. There's really nothing more to say. Turn your brain off. Watch the pretty colors for 2 hours.
Or don't.
Then go home.
Or don't. You don't have to.
Or don't. Absolutely. With that, I'm Adam Rubin.
And I'm Colin Binnick.
And we will see you next time, next week, right here on Inside Voices First Takes. Thanks for joining us.